Hi everyone, Cheryl Arkle. This is a segment where I cook out of a cookbook. Today, out of Jock Zonfrillo's book, I am making butter, and then with that butter, I am making a lemon loaf cake. So, come to my kitchen. So what I'm doing now is I'm pouring in just regular cream, and it needs to be cold. And then what I'm going to do is simply just whip it. And that's going to whip for about 15 minutes. Now what you've got in here is you've got butter and you've got buttermilk. Now what we need to do with this butter now is to separate it completely from the buttermilk. So to do that, you squeeze the butter like that and put it into a bowl. Right, making sure that you try and reserve as much of the buttermilk as you can. And this is a really nice therapeutic job. You know, it's like squeezing a stress ball. So sometimes when people make butter, it ends up being rock hard. And to make the butter soft as possible is you've really got to remove all the buttermilk. And I'm going to put the butter in an ice bath. So I've got some ice here. Some cold tap water. Everything's got to be cold simply because you don't want the butter to melt. And see what's happening here. And then you just flatten it a little bit, sprinkle it with sea salt and just work it in. But as I said, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to use this butter, this very fresh butter, to make the lemon loaf cake. I'm going to start with measuring out the ingredients. So the recipe calls for 225 grams of sugar, and then we're going to cream that with the butter, and we're going to add lemon zest first and lemon juice a bit later. Now these lemons, I actually was given them yesterday. They're off Rose's tree. She lives out on a farm, and they smell divine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mash the lemon zest and the sugar together, and that releases the flavour, the citrus flavour, and the oil, the lemon oil, into the sugar to intensify the lemon taste with the cake. Oh, you can do this with oranges as well, actually. And the other day I made one with tanginellos, so you can use whatever citrus you've got. I'm going to measure the butter. How much did we have? I only need 200 grams, so onto the scale it goes. 280. So I'll take some of that off and save that butter for later. Do you know, it really is, when you're cooking, all about the best ingredients. And in this recipe, it is the lemons, because I happen to get lemons off a tree yesterday. So what I've done here is I've creamed the sugar, the butter, and the lemon zest. And it is really important to cream for a length of time. You really want it to be light and fluffy, because that's what's going to give your cake bounce as well. What you want to do here is add the egg one at a time. So what I've got here is I've got the butter mixture with the eggs now, and a foolproof way of not overmixing is not to use the hand mixer, not to use the KitchenAid, but actually mix the flour into the butter mixture just with a spatula. So what I've got here is I've got 200 grams of butter, I've got a teaspoon of baking powder and a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to add my dry ingredients and give that a really good stir. Start with the flour, half the lemon juice. What I've done here is I've got a loaf tin. I've buttered it and put in some greaseproof paper just so that it can come out quite easily. Just make sure that it's incorporated all the way through. Make sure you scrape it off the side because that'll burn if you don't. And what happens now is I'm going to pop that into an oven, a preheated oven, 160, for about 40 to 50 minutes. You want to check it at 40 minutes, and you need a skewer to check, okay? Now, I've reserved some of the lemon juice. I'm going to add some raw sugar, and I'm going to use that as a syrup to pour over the cake at the end when it's warm. Okay, so it's time. Get it out of the oven. This is my favourite time. Can we see that? That is just a beautiful lemon loaf cake. I've got lemon juice and raw sugar in here. I think I've got a quarter of a cup of raw sugar and the juice of about 2 lemons. And I'm just going to make some holes in this beautiful loaf cake. And so I'm going to drizzle it with this syrup. And you want to do this while the cake is still warm so it absorbs. Now, you want that to cool for a little while. You can't take it out. Let it cool, let it sit for about an hour. Make yourself a cup of tea and slice some of this lemon loaf cake. So delicious. Wow. Wow. And it's still warm. Favourite time of the day is when I get to try what we've made, and I'm going to try the lemon loaf cake. Now just remember, we've made it with homemade butter as well, and we've used a soak. It's really soft, it's very moist. I mean, it's fantastic.